Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. I'm Malik, and this is We Reflect the Light. This is where we look at current events that are taking place in the world today through the lens of the unsealed scriptures of the Bible that gives us detailed information on what is taking place in the world today and what is going to take place in the world in the near future from the unsealed scriptures of the Bible. Sisters and brothers, we are at war. Sisters and brothers, the world as we know it is about to be destroyed. What's taking place in the world today is directly connected to the original black man and woman, the Asiatic black man and woman, Abraham's seed, right here in the hills of North America. Sisters and brothers, what we are witnessing in the world is directly connected to us. Sisters and brothers, America and false Israel has attacked Iran on February the 28th, not resuming, on the war that resumed in early January. Sisters and brothers, the war in heaven is what we're witnessing. Heaven is the Middle East. Sisters and brothers, America will, listen clearly, America will be thrown out of the Middle East. And false Israel will be sieged and destroyed. Sisters and brothers, we are witnessing the destruction of this world, this reality. Sisters and brothers, Michael and his angels will go to war with the dragon and the dragon's angels, or the angels of him. Sisters and brothers, clearing up scripture for you, giving you a detailed understanding from the unsealed scripture of what is taking place in your midst, in your eyes, what is happening and what is going to happen, the outcome, which, sisters and brothers, no one outside of the messenger of the covenant, the breaker of the seven seals, Master Suleiman, Daniel the prophet, Joshua the Messiah, is giving us a clear, perfect, detailed message of what is taking place and what is going to take place, has prophesied each and every event in detail, and the real is playing play by play. Sisters and brothers, no one is and have been sharing with you that America is going to be thrown out the Middle East. Sisters and brothers, let's get to that. That's something the chief demon's student minister, Daniel Muhammad, tried to speak on the 22nd of March. It's Luke chapter 21. And we're going to read We're going to read 25 and 26 here. And will be signs in sun and moon and stars, and upon the earth anguish of nation and perplexity, of noise of sea and of agitation, fainting of men from fear and expectation of the things coming upon the being inhabited earth, and for powers, the four powers of the heavens will be shaken. The four powers of the heavens will be shaken. Sisters and brothers, America, false Israel, Britain, as well as, let's say that, America, false Israel, and Britain are the power structure in the Middle East. That power structure is being shaken. America, false Israel, and Britain are right now at war with Iran. Trying to subdue Iran's power in the Middle East. The only thing standing in their way to completely controlling the Middle East. Sisters and brothers, Iran has stood their grounds since America and false Israel attacked them for the second time during peace talks on the 28th of February. Iran is at war with 3 nuclear countries. Iran is at war with Satan and the devil, Gog and Magog, America and Britain, and false Israel, Satan, the synagogue of Satan. And Iran is bombarding them, all their assets, all their military bases, all their proxies with heavy missile attacks. Sisters and brothers, what is taking place have to do with us? What is the outcome and the effect that is going to oppose on the original black man and woman here in North America? And sisters and brothers, the concern for myself is us, our nation. How is this going to affect the original black man and woman, our nation, our children, how is it going to affect us? Sisters and brothers, you will not be able to jump on your damn knees praying to some spook God. No, what fairy tale Jesus, and think that the problem is going to be solved. Sisters and brothers, we must now take responsibility for what we are accepting. Excuse me. As true. There's some truth in what's been used to block the truth from us. Sisters and brothers, no one is responsible for us as a nation, as a people, but ourselves. And we must take responsibility of providing the truth, the light, the only thing that is a perfect, clear, mathematical message. The only thing that can be proven in no time. Sisters and brothers, the truth is not complicated. It is simple. So, sisters and brothers, in the wake of false Israel's destruction, which we're watching, because false Israel will be seized and destroyed. In the wake of false Israel's destruction, who is Satan, the synagogue of Satan, who is going to put a stranglehold on the nations. For its own survival. and it will not survive. Sisters and brothers, America will be dragged as long with false Israel as long as it can take the bombardment. However, America will lose this war. They will be thrown out the Middle East, out of heaven. Britain will be thrown out with them. And sisters and brothers, the dragon, Saudi Arabia, the house of Saud, will be thrown out of the Middle East, out of heaven. Sisters and brothers, these are the royal monarchy. Or U.S. dictatorships, families that has been set in rulership in countries throughout the Middle East. Sisters and brothers, the House of Saud, Saudi Arabia, is fueling this reality. The House of Saud, Saudi Arabia, is a pawn sitting in Arabia and has stamped their name on the land of Arabia, making a claim to Arabia as if Arabia belongs to the House of Saud. Sisters and brothers, the House of Saud is paying America for protection to keep its monarchy in power in that land. Sisters and brothers, MBS, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, has promised, and Donald Trump told him, hold up, Donald Trump has stated on MBS has to kiss his backside, his ass. Something that Donald Trump stated. MBS has promised $1 trillion. $1 trillion. We're going to get into it. $1 trillion to the U.S. economy for access, what is it called? This is not the exact name, but this is the principle. To have special alliance rights as if Saudi Arabia is part of NATO, so that they will have this similar NATO rules or rights available to the House of Saud, Saudi Arabia. Sisters and brothers, what's taking place in the Middle East is affecting the whole world. Sisters and brothers, we are at the bottom of the totem pole with the foot of the nations on our backs. We are the poorest, what they call, we poor. We ain't poor, we poor. We are going to feel the backlash of what's taking place in the Middle East. First, when it falls out in America, we will be the people, the nation that will suffer first. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean, sisters and brothers, for our nation, our children, our mothers, our brothers, our sisters? What does that mean for us? When no one, your preachers are not telling you this, your politicians are not sharing this with you, no one is telling you the facts, the truth of what this means for us, scripturally or from what's taking place in reality. The scriptures, the messenger of the covenant, has given us detailed information on what is going to take place, the outcome, and the facts in reality, in the real world, is lining right up with the unsealed scriptures that has been shared with you or us. Sisters and brothers, Scriptures state that the four powers of the heavens will be shaken. Iran will be the new power in the Middle East. Sisters and brothers, we're going to view, listen. Some of the conversation by Denny Hafon, the host. We do not own the rights to this production. His conversation with Professor Mohammed Marandi on what is taking place in the last on there, they're going to say the last 18 hours or whatever. What's taking place in the last day or so. And how it's affecting and going to affect the world. Here we go. All right.
Iran has hit back very hard on Israeli attacks and U.S. attacks on its infrastructure, including nuclear plants and steel plants. And the big attack that the United States mainstream media is actually reporting on is the one that happened on Prince Sultan Air Base. About 15 troops have been wounded, some very seriously. But the big story is what Iran hit. 3 KC-135 tankers. I think that's up to 8 now destroyed by Iran. But also a big point to note is they also destroyed an E-3 Century AWACS aircraft, which is critical to the United States to be able to not only wage offensive operations, but also defensive ones, include like detecting air defense systems. So, Professor Marandi, if you want to react to this, because it wasn't even just Saudi Arabia, there's also big fires in Kuwait right now at the international airport, at a steel plant there. The UAE just had, they're talking about one of their big aluminum factories completely on fire and inoperable. So Iran has hit back very hard. They said hundreds of projectiles have gone over the Gulf and Israel. Talk about what's happened in the last 24 hours and why is it significant, especially now the mainstream media acknowledging the destruction in Saudi Arabia?
Well, Danny, you don't seem to ever get your priorities correct. First, everyone has to press the like button, I think. What was it? This is not the first time. You're losing your ability to
You're right.
prioritize.
Right. You heard him. Hit the like button. All right. President Rodney, to you.
Well, first I have to just repeat that Iran didn't start this war. You wouldn't notice that if you were watching MSNBC, Fox News, the BBC, or CNN.
Oh, first of all,
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But and also Iran. Yeah, so Iran does not want to escalate either, and Iran only strikes when they're struck first. And yesterday they bombed the steel industry in Iran. They murdered workers working in the factory, and when Iran said it's going to retaliate and strike infrastructure in the Arab regimes that are hosting U.S. forces and facilitating the war against Iran, Iran first warned people to leave. And this is what happened on previous occasions too. Every time Iran warns people to leave, whereas the Epstein coalition, they just bomb and slaughter and move on. And Western journalists, they have no concern. Legacy media journalists have no concern for Iranians, just as they don't have any concern for the Lebanese and, of course, the Gazans. And now we know that, they've struck Iranian national radio and television many times. Why? Because they don't want the world to know what's going on in Iran. Just as they're now murdering journalists in Lebanon. Today they murdered two very famous journalists. A young woman from Al Mayadeen TV. Her brother was also murdered. And then a very well-known and another very courageous journalist from Al Manar. And they murdered them because they want to do to South Lebanon what they did to Gaza. And they don't want the world to know, because Western journalists are not going to do anything about it. They are part of the problem. They are foot soldiers for genocide, as they've always been. They'll say these are Hezbollah strongholds when they're bombing, apartment blocks, and so that people would, not understand what's going on. So they've been bombing. They've murdered a large number of medics. Apparently, they murdered 50 medics so far in Lebanon during the last couple of weeks. So they're targeting journalists and medics. And of course, we have to remember that's what they did in Yemen. They bombed a newspaper in Yemen during the war. They massacred a large number of reporters at a newspaper. And of course, in Gaza, we remember very well that they murdered about 250 journalists there, including another one rather recently. So the West and the Israeli regime don't want the world to see the truth. And I just thought we should have our reminder that as we speak, there are some people very courageously on the ground trying to expose the truth, and they are being slaughtered like everyone else. And there are others who are trying to save people, to save kids, and they bomb their ambulances. Just as they bomb ambulances in Iran, and they bomb hospitals, and they bomb the Red Crescent Society, and which is the sister organization of the Red Cross. And this is what we're dealing with. Yesterday, they also bombed. Last night, they bombed a very important university in Tehran, and before they bombed another important university in Isfahan. So they're targeting civil society. They're targeting the youth, the younger generation, the future. And of course, they began with the slaughter at the Minab school, where they killed 168 or maybe even more. Someone told me it's 175 or so. I don't know. I remember 168. They slaughtered 168 little girls. And it was intentional because it was the first wave. All those first targets were well vetted. They were vetted. They'd been working on this for months. If they carried out such an attack today, I would say it's possible, maybe not plausible, but it's possible that some officer in a rush to find a new target made a big mistake. Hard to believe, but because schools are schools and they're on all apps, Iranian and foreign. But in any case, it was an intentional strike on those kids. The school was well established, so they are targeting the future of Iran. They're targeting civil society. They bomb police stations, ordinary police stations, because they want chaos. They want the fabric of society torn apart. So what we have right now is despite all this, is failure. The United States and Israeli regime have lost this. What was it? Operation Epstein Fury, or whatever.
Epic Fury, epic failure.
Yeah,
Epstein Fury.
Epstein, whatever. They've lost, and Trump wants out, but Israel won't let him. The Zionist lobby in the United States won't let him. Just like what what's his name, Joe Kent said in his resignation letter and in his subsequent interviews. It's clear as day what's happening. Trump wants a way out, but the Zionists won't let him, and that's why they're dragging the global economy towards a cliff, and soon it may go right over the cliff. Because if the United States attacks, and there's a strong chance that they will attack tonight and try to occupy islands or territory on the coast, or carry out operations deep inside Iran with their special forces, the Iranians will retaliate. We already saw, you explained how when yesterday they struck Iranian critical infrastructure, Iranian industries, the Iranians struck back. They began today and hit hard in Kuwait and in the Emirates, and they destroyed their aluminum production there, or badly damaged it. And this will probably continue. But when earlier on, when they just struck Iran's critical gas infrastructure, Iran hit back very hard and hammered Qatar and the Emirates and Saudi Arabia, so much so that the Qataris, we sort of see them becoming more ambivalent. They're not so purely pro war. But in any case, they failed, and Netanyahu was pushing, and therefore we're probably going to get escalation. And I think we're moving closer and closer to the abyss, because the global economy is heading towards catastrophe. There's no doubt about that. The gas crisis is bigger than the oil crisis, and the petrochemical and fertilizer crisis is bigger than the gas crisis. So the oil crisis is the tip of not the worst part. And since Yemen has now entered the war, it's unclear what's going to happen in the Red Sea. Right. Will the Saudis be allowed to export oil through the Red Sea, because super tankers can't go through the Suez Canal, and only smaller ships can go there. And if they want to go to Asia, it's a very long journey. They'd have to go around Africa. And they may, Ansarullah may strike the smaller tankers, or the larger tankers, or oil and gas facilities in Saudi Arabia. Or they may invade Saudi Arabia. No one knows what's going to happen. They shut the Red Sea to all shipping, and so it's, this escalation will only make things worse for the world. And Iran and the Axis of Resistance have no option but to reciprocate, because this is a war for survival. The United States is ruthless. We've seen that at with the bombing of civilians, carpet bombing Tehran. They just bombed very nearby here. Probably the closest strike so far that I've experienced, and large numbers of a number of explosions. They carpet bomb. They massacre. They kill kids. I posted a picture of one of those pictures that we've seen a lot in Gaza, but two kids' feet sticking out from under the a building that's collapsed. You just see a foot of a little kid. This is what the West is all about. This is what Western civilization, at least the way in which Western elites have pushed it. This is what it's all about. The Epstein class. They have a thing for kids too. So it's not unexpected, not surprising.
Yeah.
But the point is that Trump will not succeed. And it's miscalculation after miscalculation. During the 12-day war, they said Iran's going to collapse. They lost them. Yeah. Now, a much bigger war, they thought Iran would collapse. Didn't collapse. Then after 4 or 5 days, they said they're running out of missiles, running out of drones. Now they're hitting harder than ever. Iran is hitting harder than ever before. So everything has been based on miscalculation. For a month now, Iran has held its own against the collective West and their regional proxies, the full capacity of the U.S. Air Force, and all these proxies that are at the service of Trump, from Erdogan to Abdullah in Jordan to these little regimes in the Persian Gulf with all their wealth. And so if they escalate, it's obvious that they're going to get the same results: more dead people, more dead civilians, more dead soldiers, and perhaps American soldiers taken captive. Who knows? But ultimately, Iran will have to strike back and destroy more of those key facilities on the other side of the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a pattern here for somebody that you're pointing out. There's this continuation of escalation despite major setbacks for the United States and for Israel, but it keeps going forward escalations. And when I saw that the U.S. with Israel, with the U.S.'s coordination, struck Iranian infrastructure, economic infrastructure, immediately, I mean, if anyone's been watching this show, anyone's been watching you, anyone's been watching what's really going on, even mainstream media can admit this, what happens is that Iran has to hit back in order to create not an equal to, but an even more severe consequence to stop this kind of behavior. And that means that you hit economic infrastructure, more economic infrastructure is going to be hit on your side, leading to even more catastrophic consequences for the global economy. And I just want to read off some of the things that Iran has hit just in the last 6 to 12, 18 hours here. I'll just read off first what they hit overnight. Not just the AWACS aircraft or the KC-135s, also 6 LCUs, which are these landing craft units, a part of the U.S. Navy. They sunk those. There was an F-16 that had to emergency land, as they call it. They've also hit, as you said, President Ronnie, that they're going to hit back at infrastructure as well. That Emirati's global aluminum plant, it's a massively important one in UAE's economic zone. And as we speak, I think missiles are firing over the UAE. So over and over and over again, President Ronnie, this is the pattern here. It's the United States and Israel go further in attacking certain, especially civilian sites and economic targets. And Iran says, well, we need to retaliate, and they do. And that's causing this global economic catastrophe, which is very much here, and it's only going to get worse.
Yes, and I think people really don't understand, and neither do I really, because it's so mind-boggling what can possibly happen. But we don't really understand how bad the situation is for the global economy. This lack of energy is beginning to show itself. Prices are going up, but when the real shortage hits, because it takes weeks for the energy supplies to go from the Strait of Hormuz or the Persian Gulf to its destinations, and then when that natural gas, that LNG, that was already on its way or had reached those destinations, when they are gradually depleted, that's when it's going to hit harder. And I think that we're going to see this begin, and so they say. I'm not an expert, but I've read around that it's going to get worse in a week, and then within 3 weeks it's going to get very bad. And that, and if they push, and the assets in the Persian Gulf are destroyed, the tankers and the oil and gas installations and electrical power plants and so on, then that's permanent. Then the Strait of Hormuz becomes irrelevant. That's the problem that Trump cannot find a solution to. Let's say he takes an island. Let's say he takes 2 islands. Let's say he takes 3 islands. Let's say he takes territory. Let's say he carries out some attack deep inside Iran with commandos and succeeds or doesn't succeed. The Iranians are going to retaliate. And that retaliation will mean that these assets will be badly hit. And so the permanent damage will be visible for everyone to see. And then Iran may continue striking and striking until the Americans back off. And then what if we do have an agreement? What if the United States agrees with Iran's demands? That's the situation that the facts on the ground change. If there's no oil, if there's no natural gas, if there are no tankers, then the Strait of Hormuz is irrelevant. And that's when we know that the global economic depression is going to last for many years, and the consequences are mind-boggling.
Well, the United States also has to be very much aware that Iran right now is exporting essentially what it was in terms of oil before the war, if not more now, especially that it's asserted successful control over the Strait of Hormuz. And so that only makes the situation worse, it seems to us, Moradi, because they know, I mean, the New York Times admitted this recently, all these bases have essentially been destroyed. Whatever's left is now being hit, as we saw with Prince Sultan Air Base last night. But they have to know that this successful economic retaliation by Iran has only meant that now the U.S. and Israel are desperate to try to break that asserted control by Iran, leading to miscalculations again, like trying to invade Iranian territory to cut it off from its oil, which now all the mainstream media publications are saying, watch out, Iranian drones, Iranian missiles, Iranian troops, I think they promised 1 million are waiting for them, will confront these several thousand, whatever it's going to be, should they try to land ashore. So this is, I don't know, Professor Rada, your comment, it just seems like a disaster in the making, and one that this one will be tough to hide. They're trying to hide the damage, especially to U.S. troops on the bases, but this one will be difficult to hide, I think. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, and the U.S. troops are, what are they going to be remembered for? Dying for Epstein? I mean, that's what it's all about. It's the Zionist and Epstein class. It's all for the Israeli regime, not for the Americans. Trump is either, badly compromised or whatever the reasons are. This is not in the interest of the American people. And when things get worse, it's going to get very bad for Trump too. As I said, this is only the beginning. And not only can the Iranians escalate much further than what they've done so far, and they're holding back because Iran does not want the global economy to implode. But it's not just Iran, it's Yemen.
Right.
It's not just Yemen, it's Iraq. The Iraqis can move into the Arabian Peninsula tonight. They can take over Kuwait in hours. And this time around, no one is going to support Kuwait.
Yeah.
Iran will support Iraq. And Yemen can go deep into Saudi Arabia. Iraq can too. And who's going to stop them? The 1,000-man army of Qatar? Or the 2,000-man army of Emirates? I mean, their populations are the size of a small city. Their population combined is the size of a small city in Iran. So I don't think the Americans quite understand what they're up against. And maybe they do, but Trump is desperate and he's gambling and he can't retreat because they won't let him. But this war is about Netanyahu. It's about Zionism. There's nothing else in it for anyone. There's no positive side for the United States. And despite the fact that we're being harmed, despite the fact that they're bombing our industries and our schools and our hospitals, but Iran is emerging stronger. Iran will emerge stronger, because when the global economy goes down, it's as if you're bombing all the countries. When the factories stop working, you don't need to bomb them. You've already destroyed business. What the Israelis and the Americans are doing is that they're effectively carpet bombing the entire world.
Yeah.
Because when the energy prices go through the roof, things will shut down. People will lose their jobs. Those factories may just be landmarks after that because there'll be no consumers. They'll go bankrupt. So this is the state of affairs. But Iran, the people are united, as we've always known. If anyone.
All right, sisters and brothers. That last statement by Professor Muhammad Marandi. You don't have to bomb buildings when there's nothing, they're no value. They can't produce or do anything. They're worthless. The situation is dire, and certain countries as of now. And Professor Marandi stated what is being shared with you, sisters and brothers. In 1 week, 1 week, let's say it, in 1 week, and at the max of 3 weeks, sometime in the month of April, the situation will turn catastrophic. It's, sisters and brothers, are you listening? Unreversible, because it's going to take weeks. It's like irreversible. Sisters and brothers, the gas, the oil, the gas situation, that's not even the worst of the scenarios that are compounded by all of the scenarios. All of the situations. There's nations in shortage now. Now, false Israel is controlling let me see. The narrative. Trump wants a way out, but he can't because of the what? The Zionist lobbyists. They cannot pull out because America must protect that lie. What lie? The lie that false Israel is the true seed of Abraham. That's what this is all about. America can't allow, Britain can't allow the dragon, Saudi Arabia, has to continue in support of America to keep, the Gulf states. Now, I haven't looked. At exactly the locations. I know about where there's what to what degree that these Gulf states are on what is the original layout of Arabia. And think on that. Because in that, they will be fighting to protect their existence to stay on that land. Now, sisters and brothers, what does this mean for us? Sisters and brothers, this message, this is what's taking place in the world, and you're being shared with what's going to take place in the near future and the outcome that this is not going to change for the better of America. This is going to worsen. The scenario is going to get dire because they're sharing with you the situation in real time, in reality. However, we have been given the understanding of this situation from the unsealed scriptures, which shares with us that this situation will continue and America will suffer indeed. The world will suffer indeed from an economic collapse. Economic collapse. It's not going to get better. America is going to keep this up for the short time that it can, but America will eventually be thrown out the Middle East along with Britain. Sisters and brothers, along with the House of Saud, Saudi Arabia, the monarchy, the rulers. Sisters and brothers, which will lead to false Israel being left all alone, surrounded by armies. Which they will siege false Israel. They will give false Israel the opportunity to just leave. As Iran keeps giving, as you heard Professor Marandi, they give each and every time before they strike or retaliate. They share with the people to leave. That is going to be taken, that's going to be knocked out. So the people understand and know that they're going to keep their word. They're going to bomb it. However, sisters and brothers, America, Britain, and false Israel, sisters and brothers, no, hold up. Let me do something. No, I have to get away from this door. Use the bathroom. I gotta use the bathroom. And I'll be done. I'm about to wrap this up. Sisters and brothers, excuse me. Amen. All right. What's going on here? A second. So, know them by their works. So the messenger of the covenant shares with us, sisters and brothers, And the scripture, the unsealed scripture, shares with us. Therefore, when you see, how you gonna know their works? You have to see their works. Therefore, when you see the abomination, an abomination of destruction, desolation, which was spoken, this is an abominable thing that is taking place of destruction, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet. The prophet had to share with you what this abomination was. No one else is speaking about the abomination of desolation, the name of what the world has been witnessing since 2023 that led up to this point. So sharing with you, when you see this abomination of destruction, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place. Where's the holy place? The holy land. Is not that what they call it? It's the holy land. False Israel. People go there all the time confessing that they're going to the holy land. So when you see this abominable, cruel destruction taking place in the holy land, in the holy place, let the reader understand. This is when you see it. Understand what you're seeing. You are witnessing the nature. The whole world is able to see that Britain, America, and false Israel are wicked by nature. There's no laws that are governing them whatsoever. They think that they are above the law because of what? Sisters and brothers, they're the God of this reality. And they rule over. This is plain and simple. This is easy. It's showed to you. When you see this, you know that this is their mind state set, that they are the gods of this reality. They're the rulers of this reality, this world. And they make the rules to what takes place in this world. Everyone else is governed by the rules that is set, but they're above the rules and laws. They are the God of this, and they show us that they believe that they're the God of this world. So when you see this, this is a sign, sisters and brothers. This is a reality check. Hold it. When you see this, we're going to skip that. No, we're not going to skip. When you see that, when you see the abomination that is causing desolation, that is standing where it does not belong, it goes right in. This abomination, false Israel is an abomination for being in the Middle East, for standing where it does not belong. That's an abomination by itself. That's an abomination. So sisters and brothers. When you see this abomination, these abominations, when you see this abomination standing where it does not belong, when you see this you're able to see it. The world is able to see it. The world has been witnessing and understands what they're witnessing. Now, it's easy to see their nature, their works, what they are all about. They can't hide it, because the world knows Iran doesn't have or possess or attempting to possess a nuclear bomb. This is not this. Everything that is being shared are lies. The world is witnessing lie after lie after lie after lie by liars. Sisters and brothers, and if you think that a liar or is sharing any truth with you, or not any, the truth, because the best liar got a little truth in it. Small. But the lie that Trump is slinging, right, is no truth in it. False Israel, liars. They're not committing genocide. They're not attacking children. They're not attacking hospitals. Look at Gaza. Hospitals are blown up. Schools are blown up. Children's feet are sticking out the ground. Thousands of children and women are being murdered. Medical supplies, food, water, things being shut off to cause to starve out and cause as much on there. It's easy to see what is taking place. This is open genocide on a people. Open genocide. And America is funding, backing, supplying false Israel in everything that it does. And the West, they're not saying nothing. So the UK and they're involved. They're not condemning it. Won't condemn it at all. Keep making an excuse why this is justified. Know them by their works. Sisters and brothers, let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up. But before we go, but when you see Jerusalem, who is Jerusalem? Where's Jerusalem? That's false Israel. Surrounded by armies. No. Excuse me. Surrounded by armies. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, again, when you see this, then recognize that destruction, her desolation, her destruction is near. Sisters and brothers, as it was shared by the messenger of the covenant, false Israel will be left all alone in heaven. America will be thrown out. Britain will be thrown out. The house of Sod will be thrown out. The dragon is the house of Sod, Saudi Arabia. The monarchy will be thrown out of heaven, thrown out the Middle East. When you see this, when America is forced out the Middle East, Jerusalem will be surrounded by armies. Sisters and brothers, when America is thrown out of heaven, the Middle East, America is going to send a national security alert to attack all blacks. Sisters and brothers, that America's going to send this national security alert to attack all blacks when they're thrown out the Middle East. That's before false Israel is destroyed. This is when they're thrown out, when Jerusalem is surrounded by armies, before Jerusalem's throne is destroyed. Sisters and brothers, however, while the war is taking place as well, let's keep it on this, and I'll get to, because that will drag or cause me to go into another direction. Let's keep it here. Sisters and brothers, America has a trap set in place at right now. America, false Israel, Britain, and the house of Sod understands and knows without a shadow of a doubt who their enemies are. They understand and know who God's chosen people are, because they know without a shadow of a doubt that Satan, the synagogue of Satan, is not God's chosen people. They know that. They know that God's chosen people is not ruling this world. Satan is ruling this world. And false Israel is the synagogue of the Satan. This is Satan and the devil, the archaic world. Sisters and brothers, they know that the original black man and woman here in the hells of North America are the true seed of Abraham. They know this, sisters and brothers, and they know why false Israel is being destroyed. They know that their time is up. They know that their judgment is at hand. It could have bought them a little time. Maybe. Maybe. Smaller. Without attacking. But that's nothing to speak on because we're here now. Sisters and brothers, America plan is set up to kill or attack us all. What we're witnessing with this ice, all these ice facilities ballooning up all over the country, millions of dollars put into this thing called ice. Why? The Department of Defense has structured put in place, not something that is voted on, decided. No, something that is put in place to follow. They have allowed, America has foreign military in America, inside of America right now. The DOD, the Department of Defense, sisters and brothers, can't stress it enough. Go look it up. The Department of Defense, this is a component assistant to law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities. This was put into effect on September 27th, 2024. This is what they put it in writing. This what will be used, the Department of Defense in America on American civilians, citizens. whoever this is what can be used with all law and civil authorities, law enforcement, and all other civil authorities. That's from the lowest law enforcement to the military. Assets in responding with assets, that's assistance to responding with assets with potential for lethality or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. It also includes all support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where it is where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individual or groups is reasonably anticipated. Now, sisters and brothers, 2024, where they can use lethal force what did it say? Including death and serious bodily injury. Sisters and brothers, they're using this right now. This is what this ICE is about. You don't understand what this is about? And these things, they're ballooning up. Listen. Why do you? This is what you're witnessing. All these things that is being shared with you from the messenger of the covenant, from the breaker of the seven seals, from Daniel the prophet, from Joshua, from Master Suleiman. This message that is a perfect, clear message given to us of each step, and you're witnessing it. And the world, you just heard what's taking place in the world, but no one's sharing this with you. No one is preparing you for the backlash. No one is preparing you for what's coming in days. In days, the chief demon Louis Farrakhan is not preparing you. They're not speaking about it. They're talking about we got to make do this for what community? We got to get our community. There will be no community. Understand, We're at the bottom. We're going to feel it first. Shortage of gas, jobs closing, food shortages. All these things will happen instantaneously. It's going to snap up on us quickly. And it just was shared within a week to 3 weeks, it will be maximized. The whole global community will collapse and feel this pressure. The backlash from what's taking place. There will be no use for the Strait of Hormuz. It will be no use for these buildings, these industrial they will shut down. And all these things are being affected, sisters and brothers, by the synagogue of Satan. Satan, what do you call it? Corporate bombing the whole world, pulling the whole world to this world of its own. This is Satan's world, and Satan is pulling this whole world to a screeching halt because trying to preserve their self. And everyone will know when Satan is destroyed who the true seed of Abraham is, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, sisters and brothers, we are Abraham's seed. We are the America's most wanted, always been America's #1 arch enemy. We are under the foot of America.
Inside this facility.
So, John, as we grapple with the question of can shame motivate change, is this a moment where maybe not around Epstein, but around immigration, when we hear these stories inside places like Dilley, does that spur the administration to change? Or is it just that they put a different face like Tom Homan on their immigration effort and continue doing the same thing?
No, Ali, I think there are a couple things to say about this aspect of the story. One is obviously we're building tons of new ICE detention facilities. You know, there's been controversy about that. I know you've covered it. That's one of the new focuses in this story. And I think it's one of the great, unlike what's happened in Minneapolis, where we got to see so much, you know, the deployment of so many cell phone video cameras, so many people who were out taking images of what's going on there. What's happening in those detention facilities is largely happening behind closed doors. We have very little visibility into it. And if you imagine, just without, you know, being able to, the reporting that we're reading, like the reporting from the Bulwark, is terrifying. But, you know, it's just a drop in the bucket. If you think about what happened in Minneapolis on the streets, imagine that's what's happening in clear public view. What's happening behind closed doors, one imagines, one can reasonably speculate, is considerably worse. And so I think there's going to be a lot of focus on this particular issue. I don't know. I mean, I'm never going to make predictions about what the administration is going to do. I think that the politics of this have been nothing but bad for the Republican Party and for Donald Trump. The numbers have shown that. It's been pretty incontrovertible. The question is when, not so much shame, because I think on the part of the administration at least, there is not a lot of shame when it comes to this policy. And I do think that your earlier suggestion and the Tom Homan suggestion that we're going to see more ICE raids, that every one of these cities from Los Angeles to Washington to Chicago to Minneapolis has been a dress rehearsal for the next city. I don't think there's any reason not to think there's going to be another city after Minneapolis. I don't think shame is the way that's going to stop them from doing any of these things. I do think that political pressure, whether that's the kind of pressure that the House or that Senate Democrats are putting right now in terms of trying to get ICE reformed through the budgeting process and through the partial government shutdown that we're seeing, or whether it's at the ballot box fear of what's going to happen come November. Because if Republicans and Donald Trump stay on the path they're on right now, they're, I think, going to pay a pretty significant price for these policies at the polls in November. And that is the one thing that might motivate some kind of change.
Yeah, it's also a good reminder the Department of Homeland Security is actually shut down right now because they failed to meet the deadline on Friday and they didn't negotiate on Department of Homeland Security funding. And then when it comes to getting inside these detention centers, the only way we know this information is from investigative reporters like Adrian, but also the investigative outlet ProPublica, which reported that more than 3,500 people have been held at Dilley since it reopened. More than half of them children, and at least 300 minors have been detained longer than the 20-day legal limit. DHS and ICE haven't responded to questions about medical care inside of that facility. But then when we talk about the fact that these operations are ballooning and will go to other places, let's zero in on Maine. Because immigrant rights activists say they're seeing increased immigration enforcement activity in the rural part of the state, raising concerns about disruption.
Sisters and brothers, one thing that was shared there, again, that there's no shame in this administration for what you're witnessing. Because this is, what you're witnessing is Make America Great Again. It's part of what the Make America Great Again policy. ICE is part of this Make America Great Again policy. What? Make America Great Again doing what? Who was it great for? Because it wasn't great for slaves being afflicted, not us, animals, which they called us, labeled in their Constitution. We were 3/5 of a human. Make America Great is the policy which placed all these millions of dollars into ICE, which these facilities are ballooning up all over the country. And you're watching dress rehearsals take place from New York to California to Memphis, to Minnesota, to St. Louis, Detroit, Chicago. They're placing and seeing how they need to. These are exercises that they're doing to see what we need is here. This is what, so they can understand the procedure of when they attack us all. They have implemented this plan because they know they don't understand. They don't directly know. Because Trump did, oh, I'm about to lose. No, they thought they was going to win. But this unsealed scripture let us know what they didn't know. Oh, no. It's not going to come out like what you're thinking. Sisters and brothers. However, they do understand that they cannot allow us to recognize who we are before they attack us. They cannot allow false Israel to be destroyed. That's why they're held by their by their throats. I'm going to say that instead of by their. That's why false Israel, they want to get out, but they can't they can't lead false Israel. Because when false Israel is destroyed, that religious eschatology, that lie of Jesus, and they're the truth, all that's going to come crumbling down, and this Zionist Christian religion is going to be seen as a lie, a damn lie, which it is, which is holding and have the minds of our people blocked from the truth of who they are or who we are. In this fact, when false Israel is destroyed, it's going to unlock, it's going to release all the lie, everything will be cut short, and the truth of who we are will be known. That is going to call us to rise as a people, as a mighty nation, as a mighty army overnight. And no, they don't want to see that. So they must react. No, they must move on us before they or have to react to what they know as their fall. Sisters and brothers, this is what we are witnessing. This is what's taking place. This is what is going to happen in the near future. So, sisters and brothers, get up. You're responsible for sharing this with your people. Let them know to find a way to secure at least 30 days worth of food that is unperishable. Something that you can move around with. Haul with you. Sisters and brothers, if you can, get you some gas containers. Put away at least a tank of gas. That's 20, 25, 30 gallons of gas. Keep your car filled. The tank filled. Sisters and brothers, no one is sharing this with you. No one. This is what is going to take place any day now. And what's taking place in reality is bearing witness to what has been prophesied many years. You have been being given. We have been being given this light consistently throughout the judgment of America. The messenger of the covenant been transmitting this message for 30 years. But we have been consistently since 2020 reflecting this light of truth, sharing with you each and every step before the first bomb blow up into right now, last night, whichever bomb just dropped, what the outcome, who the players will be, the outcome of this war and what this war, this is just one of the wars, is going to be. And this war will immediately turn into what Scripture calls the War of Armageddon. That's a European war. Europe, America, and Europe will be at war immediately after America is thrown out of heaven or the Middle East. So immediately when America will be at war on the outside and on the inside with inside the attacking us total chaos, social unrest, famine, cannibalism. Oh yeah, because you're dealing with people with absolutely no discipline. Oh, they gonna eat. And we are already considered sweet black meat, and we, by their constitution, are animals. And they're going to eat. Yes, they will eat you, and they're going. That's what they're going to. It's, you understand the conditions, the fallout of what you're about to witness. It tells you these things are coming up. This is what is about to take place right here. And you have idiots talking about we gotta idiots. We gotta get together and start growing food. How the hell are you gonna grow food? A war. You can't even. You just not here. The things that they need to even grow. That's you hear the compound scenarios that are even worse than the gas, and one of them was the fertilizer that it takes, that is needed for them to use to even grow food, is being held up. Sisters and brothers, this information, this light that is being reflected is for us. We are God's chosen people. We're at the center of what you're witnessing. All these things, this is because after 400 years of horror, coming out the Holocaust. Horror. That's horror. Babies being used for foot warmers, alligator bait, sodomized, raped, males, women, the babies. These people are animals, devils, hung, skin. Use our skin for fine leathers. Sisters and brothers, fed us shit every. Sisters and brothers, after that 400 years, we are coming out with great substance. That nation whom we served will be judged. I will judge them. That's what God. I'm going to judge them. I'm going to bring you out with great substance. And in that day, God made a covenant with Abram, saying, until thy seed have I given this land from the great river Egypt, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates. That's Arabia. And the house of Sod knows this as well. This is all of them are sitting on our land. The house of Sod is sitting on our land. America, China and India has been given our economy. All the jobs sent out of Detroit, out of American cities, so we wouldn't obtain the jobs. Sent over to China. All the computer jobs, the computer science jobs, sent to India. India's imported in to operate and control these jobs so that we wouldn't have them. False Israel has stolen our identity, using it to become rich. And America has us here. Britain. They're all becoming rich off of us. Nations, all the nations have been, the nations have been made rich off of our suffering. God's chosen people suffering, and they are under judgment. And they're all going to rot in hell. They will fall. Sisters and brothers, their time is at hand. It's up. So we're going to bring this to a close. Understand, sisters and brothers, what the scripture, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, know that her desolation is near, her destruction. Sisters and brothers, the messenger of the covenant will suddenly appear in the messenger's temple. The Lord whom you're seeking. Sisters and brothers, flee. To the mountains. The messenger of the covenant will suddenly appear in the messenger's temple. The Lord whom you're seeking. America is going to attack all blacks. Before false Israel is destroyed, after they have been thrown out of heaven. Sisters and brothers, this is a reflection of the light of a perfect, absolute perfect message given to us by the messenger of the covenant, the breaker of the 7 seals, Daniel the prophet, Master Suleiman, Joshua the Messiah. Sisters and brothers, we are responsible for this message, for passing this message to our people. This responsibility lies on us, brothers. Stand up, get up. Your family, your children, your sisters, your brother, your nation is relying on you. Sisters and brothers, many scriptures state many of our people will lose their lives because the truth is being blocked from them. And they're not going to get this truth unless you pass it on, get it to them. Many of our people will lose their lives for the lack of knowledge, for the lack of this knowledge of the truth. Sisters and brothers, we are responsible for us, for our nation. And with that, I'll greet you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.